Hello and welcome to the Spanish Football Podcast YouTube channel. I'm Alex Kirkland, this is Sid Lowe.
And this is the Podmobile.
Last week our gimmick was that the tripod was about to blow over. This week our gimmick, in a desperate bid to attract more viewers, is that we're inside the Podmobile because it's raining quite a lot outside. We're talking about Matchday 17, Sid, which kicks off on Friday night. Friday the 13th, by the way. But will it be unlucky for Alaves?
Or for Leganés?
Or for Leganés? You tell me.
I feel like Alaves at home are still stronger than Leganés. That said, Leganés got that victory last weekend.
Oh,
they
what
really
a win.
need a huge win.
Aguirre is just a legend, isn't he?
He's brilliant.
Yeah.
How were you feeling? I was crapping myself.
That was what he said to Sid's question. It was a good one.
It's going to be cold as well, and I'm going to be there, and I think it might freeze. But, you know. So, how's this going to go? I mean, he said, Aguirre, that he's seen decent things in the two previous games, but that it wasn't enough, and that fundamentally all he cares about is getting results. But I think you are seeing some shifts. I think you're seeing a slightly more aggressive Leganés. I think you're seeing quite a direct Leganés. That said, they come up against a team who do some of those things really well as well. I don't think you can out-muscle Alaves in the way that maybe you can do that to Celta, or the way that maybe you could do it to, I don't know, an Espanyol, for example, or something like that. I think this is going to be tough, very tough. I think it might be one of those games where...
on Saturday, the early kickoff at 1 o'clock is Granada against Levante. Granada, another team who got an important win last weekend.
Yeah, who've been top and then hadn't won in 5 games, only 1 point in those 5 games and got a win. I think that kind of settled things just at that point where they start to think, oh, maybe we will be dragged back into
against Alaves, of course, but away.
Against Alaves. 3-0 as well. Alaves didn't respond well at all. Alaves are a very strange team at the moment who are kind of very up and down. I still think that Granada are very clear about what they want to do, and I think they needed that win last weekend to kind of reinforce that. But I think they know what they're about, and I think even the fact that they lost 5 in a row wasn't a kind of disaster. Not least you look at the teams they lost to, and they're all teams you would say they probably should lose to them.
Big game after that at the new Anoeta. It's Real Sociedad against Barca. Anoeta, traditionally a tough place for Barca to go. Yeah,
and they went there last year and won Barcelona, but didn't play well at all. We're very fortunate to win. Real Sociedad play really, really nice football. I wonder if maybe the shift in their style, could it be that suits Barcelona a little bit in that they're more creative, they're more technical, but perhaps less tough, less aggressive, although they do like to press quite high. And I think Barcelona have struggled this season when teams have put pressure on the back four and not allowed them out. And obviously if Rakitic plays, who it looks like he's starting to play a bit now, I still think one of Rakitic's flaws is actually that when you put pressure on him, he doesn't find a way out the press quite as easily as perhaps some of the other midfielders do.
Presumably Valverde doesn't have to think about resting players with the Clásico in mind, because he's already done that in the Champions League in midweek, so basically the whole team can probably play both games, can't they?
Also this is Saturday. And Real Madrid play on Sunday.
Saturday is not Sunday.
So I think
it's a day earlier.
Yeah, and so I think that gives him just that little bit of margin, that little bit of time. And I think as well there'll be an awareness of this. I mean, this is, by the way, a brilliant weekend of games,
which you are making the most of. Going to half of them.
To go to 5 of them,
covering half of the
Jornada. But it's a brilliant game around all games, and I think that's kind of they need reminding of this, because everyone in Spain is looking forward to the Clásico already. But Barcelona away at Real Sociedad, and as we'll come on to in a minute, Real Madrid away at Valencia. This is a weekend when those two teams genuinely might not win.
After that, it's a game that you're not going to at San Mamés, Athletic against Eibar, a Basque derby.
I'm not going to this game by half an hour. If this had been half an hour later, I'd have been able to get from San Sebastian to Athletic.
Once again, the La Liga fixture computer doesn't take Sid into account.
They do it deliberately.
By the way, we're going to set up a chat, hopefully, with Sid and the boffins behind the...
so that I can say, listen, your various criteria... By the way, they do have a very complex system.
Oh, yeah, they've talked me through it.
There is a reason for this, but I would like them to add... What does Sid want?
I mentioned this to the head of department,
fair that they don't do it.
Laughed in my face. At 9 o'clock, another big game, Atleti against Osasuna at the Wanda. Thoughts on that?
Thoughts on this? Atletico Madrid desperately need to win. Not necessarily because of the position in the table, though they're down to 7th, which obviously is very poor from their point of view. But I think mentally as well. Now, they got those 2 goals against Lokomotiv Moscow in midweek. They hadn't scored for 3 hours. They then missed a penalty at the very start of that game.
They don't want their entire season to end up being all about the champion. You can't put all your eggs in the Champions League basket.
And, I mean, I think they're strong enough that they'll come back and finish third anyway. It's a very risky basket to put your eggs in. There's that. I suppose there's the newfangled Super Cup, which doesn't exist. So forget I just said that. There's the Copa del Rey as well. They're defensively still very strong, Atletico Madrid. Bear in mind, they've only lost twice all season. The problem is they've got to start putting some of these chances away, and I think they need to start against Osasuna this weekend, who are very good at home, but not quite so good on the road.
Sunday, the midday kickoff is Getafe against Real Valladolid.
Getafe, who, depending of course on what's happened to Barcelona against Real Sociedad on Saturday, could be cementing a Champions League place.
I
They're
think
currently level.
We
with
are
Real Sociedad.
all of us are sleeping on Getafe because they've crept up the table sort of every week. They started
Just
a little bit
doing
slower.
what they did last year.
And all of a sudden they're in the Champions League spots. But you almost don't notice it anymore.
I think they play a bit higher than last year. I think they're a little bit more aggressive than last year in terms of the
it's hard to believe.
Yeah, I mean aggressive with the ball rather than aggressive without
They've
it.
added aggression on the ball to aggression off it.
They open the pitch out a little bit more. And I think Getafe are genuinely a good side.
Huge game at 2:00. It's Celta against Mallorca.
This is huge. I mean, Celta have come of
big
course,
as
from being
Leganés
beaten by
the other
Leganés, one of the teams that's trying to get out of the relegation area. Mallorca, another one. Celta shouldn't really be in a relegation battle, but if they lose to Leganés, which they've already done, and lose to Celta, I think they will look at this and think, actually, you know what? We really are in this fight, even with a new manager who I consider to be very bright, who knows what he's doing, Oscar, but they've got problems there. They've also, I think, got problems internally in terms of the kind of the internal relationship within the squad.
You don't want internal problems.
You don't want internal
some of the
problems.
worst kind. The game at 4:00 is the Ruby and the Borja Iglesias derby.
It is, isn't
Espanyol
it?
against Betis.
And it's very, very big this for Espanyol, who have only picked up 1 point at home all season in La Liga.
They're so bad.
They're doing surprisingly well. They are awful. And at the Bernabeu last week, we talked about this a little bit, but let's refresh our memories of this. It was against Real Madrid, so it's difficult to judge. But they didn't even feel like a team, despite Machin saying they were, that truly competed. And you looked at it and you saw 4 or 5 players, maybe not 4 or 5, 3 or 4 players who were good once. And just kind of aren't now. And they're in trouble, Espanyol. If they don't win this, they're in big trouble. Betis, on the other hand, have come out of this, and Ruby is suddenly looking good.
6:30. This should be a fun, attractive game to watch, potentially. Sevilla against Villarreal.
It should be a lot of fun. I mean, traditionally, this is one of the... I mean, this is why you look at this weekend's round of games, and it's a really good round of games. Partly because of this, because these are, if you like, traditionally the other team after the top 3. These are the other 2 who might get their final Champions League place, who tend to be quite nice to watch. You've got good players. And obviously, you know, Sevilla, I think, genuinely competing now for 3rd place, probably not for the title. And of course, you've got Santi.
Is Santi back yet?
I don't know that actually yet.
Finally, 9:00, the biggest game of the weekend, I think it's fair to say, Mestalla Valencia against Real Madrid.
And a place where Real Madrid have not always had it easy, a place where the noise will be, I'm sure, absolutely brilliant, where I think Real Madrid have found their feet and are playing very well in recent weeks. They're competitive even when they don't play well, even when they're not good with the ball. I don't know how much their lineup will be conditioned by the Clásico. For example, I think Casemiro might not play.
So what does that mean? Is that Fede Valverde and Kroos as sort of a double pivot? Kroos was rested in midweek, of course.
And then maybe an extra midfielder
Isco
rather than a third forward.
Isco will play.
Try and give them strength in the middle. Well, not strength, but numbers in the middle at least, because Isco doesn't really give you strength as such, but he does give you numbers. He does give you the ability to hold onto the ball. Valencia, let's see how they respond. Brilliant result for them in midweek in the Champions League. And bit by bit, Albert Celades is really impressing.
We all had doubts about Celades, and
to be fair, we did.
Credit to him.
Yeah,
I mean, those doubts were probably well founded, but still, it's great to see. That's all for now from inside the Podmobile. Where will we be next week? Who knows?
I mean, genuinely, we would be out there for you, but it's miserable out there, and it's steaming up in here, Al.
It's getting steamy, so we'd better go. Listen to Phil and Sid talk about all of this weekend's games on the Spanish Football Podcast, out on Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Acast,
iTunes?
TuneIn. iTunes no longer exists.
Does it not?
But I'll explain afterwards. Wherever you get your podcasts.